What is the worst sexual experience you've had? Thought it would be hot to get slapped in the face, so I asked to be slapped in the face. I was promptly slapped in the face. I found out very quickly I do not enjoy being slapped in the face. Probably a guy that wrapped his legs around my head while I went down on him. He squeezed so tight to the point where I couldn't breathe. My lizard brain started to panic, so I bit down to make him stop so I could breathe. He put on latex gloves and lube, which I thought was weird, but I kinda ignored it, and then he shoved a breath mint up my ass without telling me. Ex decided to be fancy and she took a mouthful of champagne before giving me a blowjob. Bubbles from the champagne went up my dick hole. Incredibly painful, don't recommend. My ex-girlfriend, who thought that giving a handjob consists of pulling down the foreskin as far as possible with the most violent strokes. She managed to slightly rip my frenulum. First time I got a BJ, the girl said I am the best at giving blowjobs. I swear to God I thought I stuck my dick in a cheese grater. It was like that one episode of SpongeBob where he grinds the chocolate bar with his teeth. It was my first sexual experience ever though, so I just assumed it's supposed to be that way. Needless to say, further experience has proved it to not be the case. Hooked up with an Italian guy who refused to take his large gold chain off. It swung so hard it hit me in the face and gave me a black eye. One girl's meth-dealing brother broke into her apartment while we were doing the deed, and then told me that I was on his turf, so I had to enjoy his company until he wanted to leave. I had not met him previously. Her dad walking in after ID literally just finished. She still had, just, a skirt on, but there's me standing proud and looking very pleased with myself. Fair fucks to him, he stammered sorry and closed the door. Needless to say, dinners afterwards were interesting. I went down on my ex, it was going pretty well. She was on the sofa and I was kneeling on the floor. Next thing I know, her dog came up behind me and licked my ass cheek. The ultimate jump scare. Edit, it totally killed the mood, but we laughed about it after. The night I lost my virginity, a new friend from my first week of university invited me to her dorm, poured a fifth of cherry Smirnoff into my gut, then ripped my clothes off. There was minimal foreplay before she jammed me inside of her, and she was drier than the vacuum of space. I was giving a guy a BJ after drinking tons of red wine, threw up red all over him and his white sheets. I apologized, we laughed it off, and I thought everything was fine. 2 weeks later I came over to hook up with him again and he hadn't changed or washed the red vomit sheets. A guy told me he could channel energy through his tongue. Worst head I've ever had in my life. My wife was really drunk and forgot she had a tampon in for the entire day. The next morning she woke me up riding me and it smelled like something in her died. I almost threw up. I'm just glad she didn't get toxic shock syndrome. That would be the first blowjob I ever received. Ended up thrusting my DA bit forward, enthusiasm I guess, triggering my girlfriend's gag reflex and getting projectile vomited on. Not a great start. Pointy ring jabbed into the head of my dick during a handjob. It's been 20 years and I still grind my teeth over it. Agony. I was helping my girlfriend undress and hit her in the mouth by accident. Mood ruined as expected. First time I had sex was on my ex's bedroom floor. No foreplay. I got carpet burn, and didn't orgasm. A female stranger that I had met online for a hookup neglected to inform me that she had a problem with flatulence when she had an orgasm. The first one came as I was giving her oral. She ripped a massive fart pretty much directly into my mouth. It was horrible. Being a gentleman, I pressed on. For the next hour or so, I got my balls farted on no less than 10 times. We didn't see each other again. When I was 25, someone I was hanging out with wanted to have anal sex. I wasn't excited about it, but she was all about it. It took forever to get inside her and it did feel great, but within 2 minutes, she asked me to pull out, and when I did, she shit all over me. Girl fainted on my dick, and her head was a little heavy. Took me about 4 painful minutes to remove myself, while also operating a phone and thinking about whether or not to give CPR. Apparently she had some form of vertigo, and faints on sound snaps, which happened when I spanked her ass, but did not know about. I haven't had really bad experiences, but one time a guy tried to put a finger in my ass without asking beforehand. Doggy, I panicked and hit him in the knee with my foot. He lost his balance and bit his tongue when he fell on my back. A bit of blood in his mouth and on my back. There was a long silence after that. Weirdly enough, we stopped hanging out. Probably the time my ex-wife drunkenly insulted and berated me for not wanting to do anal. Especially being impromptu, no preparation, and the first time doing it. I was sucking a guy's dick and he was quite a bit bigger than anyone I'd worked on before. I'm into aggressive partners, so we agreed he could be a bit forceful. Mistake. I threw up. He said my labia looked weird. Shockwave of insecurity that has followed me 10 plus years despite going to a gyno about it, and she informed me that it was absolutely normal. I couldn't get it up on my honeymoon. Let's just say I didn't lose my virginity on the first night of my honeymoon. Edit, it was dehydration and exhaustion. The one time a dude insisted on bareback, then ghosted me because he gave me an STD and he knew it. Probably this time I had sex with guy and he had really strange bad odor coming from his mouth. I smelled it when he was like on top of me. I tried holding it in by rubbing my nose, but my body couldn't take it anymore. So immediately my pussy got dry and I had to tell him maybe it's the condoms. My very first time. I had an allergic reaction to the condom. It was itchy. I was glad to learn that non-latex condoms existed after that. Drunken college one night stand. He had a micropenis. I didn't judge, and continued. The condom I had was too big, he put it on himself. On top I could barely feel him inside me. After he was done, 1 min or so, the condom was inside my vagina. I pulled it out. He made a self-deprecating joke about his small dick. Had to take plan B in the morning. I'm not gonna get into it, but just know that some extremely attractive people have no idea how to fuck. I guess I would have to say my wedding night for my first marriage. I was a virgin and too drunk to even remember what happened. The next morning he was sitting at the foot of the bed in a chair and staring at me. My first thought was, oh my god, what have I done? Me and a guy were having some fun. Decided to 69. He got on top of me, practically squashed the air out of my lungs. I had to beg him to get off me. Awkward. I was young and dumb. My girlfriend was incredibly hot and inexperienced. She gave me a dry hand job for so long that it ripped my piss hole wide open. Because of how it healed, I now have 2 holes, which makes pissing unpredictable sometimes. Leaving out the actual worst because it's not fun. But the best worst experience I had, he lay down on top of me with his arms by his sides and just scooted back and forth. Basically that scene from The Inbetweeners. He was 28, bit socially awkward and a wannabe Twitch streamer, but he was very good looking, so I would be surprised if he was a virgin. It was a lovely date, but I absolutely could not go back after that.